Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're really excited to have you. Just wanted to kind of go through a quick kind of overview. We're going to really hit up what you view as the market, kind of
Sure.
how the pandemic effects has affected you, staffing, some items around staffing, and then really sales and marketing and ops. So I think with that said, overall, do you view, or are you positive or apprehensive about the current state of the market right now?
I'm positive for a number of reasons, but the most important reason is that those that are creative, those that are willing to be innovators, you know, and I don't like to use the term disrupt, but I will, they will absolutely win. And courage is number one.
Totally. I couldn't agree with you more. Do you see your business expanding or contracting the next year to 2 years?
My business is exponentially growing because of our content. We have been a monster in creating content, high quality content, finding and searching and surrounding ourselves with the best people that we possibly can. And then either inundating our own selves and bathing ourselves with that philosophy, with those people, but also telling that story for the general public as well. So it becomes part of our DNA, but we also disseminate it as well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then kind of around the pandemics, internal to your business, what's the biggest change you've seen since kind of the pandemic?
Well, it's the remoteness, right? We used to have war rooms, and for a year and a half, we were all zoomed out, and, so that was, there's a dynamic that occurs there because I'm looking at you right now, and I'm constantly looking at you right now. Well, in real life, when we're in a room, we're not looking at each other all the time. We're looking around. So there's inflections. There's body language. There's also that ether that happens. That's not touching something, but it's in the room, if you will. And so that whole dynamic is gone, and that's where a lot of stuff happens. That's great, and we got to get back to that. We got to have the courage to go out and meet our people face to face, get in front of people, have lunches, have networking events, and just get back to being human.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's just been nice to have just normal business meetings where you're not looked at as like, oh no, are you going to get me sick sort of thing.
Exactly. Oh my God, right? Masks and all that nonsense now.
Yeah, and I'm seeing it definitely change on our end as well.
Sure.
Kind of around, has hiring and retaining good staff become more or less difficult?
Well, we've surrounded ourselves with really quality people, and I've been blessed to have a pretty long career, and have done some good things and successful things with a number of different organizations. And so I've attracted some of the younger talent because of my coaching career. So a lot of the guys that have recently graduated college, graduated high school, are now working for me either as an intern. I've got two. Actually, I just went through senior projects with them. They're doing terrific stuff for me, and they're so talented. It's unbelievable. And then as well as people that I've done business with over the years, two gentlemen that are, one's just turned 60 and the other one just turned 68, have joined the team. And they are as energized as the 20-year-old. So it's pretty cool. That is awesome.
That's actually a big shift that kind of people retiring, but they don't want to retire. they still want things to do.
Exactly. And they've got the brains and the experience. It's beautiful.
That's fantastic. And then in what departments are you experiencing the most challenges regarding retention, if you are experiencing retention?
I'm not, but my clients are. Okay. My clients are experiencing retention with the 20s and 30s somethings, particularly when they become proficient at what they're doing and then get promoted quickly. There's a big propensity to move and to become modular.
Gotcha.
And so and also I think, I really love this rule. The platinum rule is do unto others as they wish to be done unto. And so a lot of hierarchy are not listening to their people. And so what they're doing is they're rewarding them with things that they think they would like, but they don't ask them and they don't listen. So if like my 24-year-old daughter, who's killing it at an ad agency, just got promoted 3 times and is making a lot of dough, but they're asking her to do more work and give her more money. And she's saying, no, I want to do better work. Okay. And I want to do more evolved work. Okay. So you see, there's a disconnect there. So she's like, she's just here for dinner the other night. She goes, Dad, I want to become an electrician. She goes, I'm tired of this nonsense. And I go, well, really? I'm 64 and you're 24. God bless you. You're tired of it. Anyhow. So that's the issue that they're facing, is they're not listening. They're not listening.
And we have it in our some of our staff want more money, some of our staff want more time off. They want more quality of life. So it's just I think definitely I agree with you. It's asking them, hey, like, what do you value? And then let's reward them on what they actually value versus what we think they value.
Bingo. Right on. Spot
on. And then are you experiencing any wage or cost creeps? Yeah, because we're a meritocracy in our business. So our contracts, while they're retained contracts, our retainer is really the small part of the compensation package. We heavily weigh ourselves on performance. So if you were to pay me $100 today, $85 to $90 of that's going to be on performance. The rest will be on retainer. But the retainer still is important, because everybody gets engaged on that retainer, and we do a deep dive. So when we do that deep dive, that's really where the retainer lives. And so we have to raise the retainer, because everything has gone up. I mean, I just filled my car up for $4.49 a gallon. Never in the history of my life, and I've been driving since 1973, has anything ever hit me that square between the eyes. And so when and diesel, right? Diesel's even worse. And everything is delivered by diesel. So your food, your clothing, your shelter, your furniture all goes up just for that simple cost. So that's the challenge. But we have to raise the retainer, and I think people understand. I totally agree. And then looking towards sales and marketing, do you feel that it needs to be more impressions to convert business than previously?
No, I think it has to be smarter impressions, more psychographically, more demographically, more just much more informationally rich impressions. I mean, we make money on a wrestling podcast. Okay, I make money on that. I monetize that. And so, and obviously I have other podcasts that are doing quite well that are not as niche. But that said, if it's smartly done, and here's a case in point. In that wrestling podcast, one of my former wrestlers owns a huge Serve Pro dealership group. He put a recruitment advertising embedded in the podcast with also a mention about their services. He got a $244,000 profit account on one commercial. That's a success story, right?
That's tangible. Yeah.
But that's smart, because they're wrestlers that want to do business with wrestlers. And it's like being in the Marines. So if you hit that chord, if you know what you're doing, if you know what the content is, you're bringing in high quality content, you're getting a good demographic that's almost evangelical about that. Bingo. There's where the impression hits.
Great. And then would you say your sales cycle is longer or shorter than a few years ago?
It depends on it depends on the solution. So the marketing side of it, the business development side, it's the same, if not shorter, because people need to find a place to get this.
That's great. And this is more all on kind of the operations and how you kind of control and run the company. Would you say your processes are clearly documented and kind of recurring activities within your organization? Are they, does everyone kind of know what their kind of handbooks and structured?
There's no kind of, they know.
They know.
Unless they're having a brain, a COVID brain fog, there is very clear and absolute, no wiggle room instructions from everything that we do. And I'm a stickler for that. And because,
that's rare.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's actually a pretty rare trait to have within an organization. to have
Yes.
that much documentation.
Well, and it's also about clarity and consistency. And so they know what they're going to get and they get it. And I don't waste people's time, because time to me is extremely precious. It's much more precious than it was in 1973. Okay. Because I was 16 then, I'm 64 now. So I'm very time jealous, and I'm respecting other people's time, but I want to get things done too. So there's the time money quotient, right there.
Totally. And then how do you decide, or kind of, do you have KPIs for your employees, and kind of how do you decide what those are and how do you structure them?
You know, the key performance indicators that you just described are essential to not only ops, not only sales, but also overall. And I think you could even marry those to philosophical, quote, KPIs. Okay. Because where do we want to be and why and how fast? And if you don't have the KPIs to do that, then you're on a pillar of sand and salt. And so we want to build it on cement. And so with those measurables, we get there. And they're again, very clear cut, and they're met. And if they're not met, we figure that out, and we have an open heart and an open mind to make sure that we can get those done the next time, so that we don't have that failure.
That's great. And then can you just give us kind of an overview of your business and kind of who your ideal clients are?
Sure. Well, we are now a best practices organization. We do a deep dive. We really get naked with the client. They get naked with us. We find out where they want to be and why and how fast, and we get them there. Whether it's organic growth, whether it's organic growth and efficiency via line items, whether it's acquisitions, or whether it's all three, or whether they want to be acquired. And then we'll get them ready for that. And also too, if they need to find capital or find a capital partner. So we do all those. We truly are a best practices business consultant. And, you know, while top line growth is great, if you don't have efficiencies, the EBITDA sucks, you know? And so the big thing today, particularly with so much dry powder on the sidelines, is we want that EBITDA up, because the valuation is where the multiple lives. And multiples are now 12, 15 times one. And if you could drop another $600,000, $1 million, $2 million to the bottom line, think about what that end game is for the owner. And then in turn, if the owner is in our philosophy, they're going to share with their employees as well.
That's great.
Yep.
And then what would you say your biggest market prediction is for next year?
Oh, and to answer your question, perfect example of a client of ours, anywhere from 2.5 million to 25 million EBITDA. So
2.5 million to 25 million EBITDA. Okay.
Yeah. And so to circle back to where do you think the market's going to be?
Yep.
So
if you're looking at the next year, kind of for your business, where do you think the market's going to be for kind of growth, subtraction, or kind of decline?
I think people are looking for big ideas. Okay. And we're creating big ideas right now. So I think that there's going to be a hunger for excellence, maybe even extravagance to a good degree. I mean that in a positive way. Let's just entertain each other and live life again. You know, because if you look at the history, right, in 1918 to 1920, it was horrible. You had coming out of World War I, and then you had the Spanish flu. Well, what happened in the 20s? The Roaring 20s. I'm thinking that this decade is going to be the Roaring 20s revisited in our world. And I think 23 is going to be a explosive year, and 24 will even be more so.
That's encouraging to hear.
I hear you.